Welcome to Prepp Talk. Good morning and welcome to Prepp Talk. Back from holiday vacation. How was yours? How was your holiday? Mine was great. I haven't had a voice since the 1st. It's kind of coming back a little bit more today. I have no idea why. It's just one of those things. It was really hard not to go to work with everything that's been going on the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've been watching the news. And even if you are watching the news, they're not telling us anything. Very little of anything anyway. But we got a lot to talk about today, okay? So, let's see what's on the desktop, shall we? China preparing for war with the U.S. Air Force Secretary says, China says, and they've been clear, if we interfere with Taiwan, they're going to throw nukes at us. Cut, dry, simple. They're not even going to play. They've made it clear. President Xi Jinping announced that they plan on taking Taiwan in 2024. So it's going to happen this year. And we all know that we've already got our fingers in the Russian pie. We got our fingers in the Iranian pie. And who wants to take bets on whether we'll get into the Chinese conflict? So, be looking for that in the upcoming 2024 year. We're going to talk about that at the end. What we can do. You know, what are we going to do? There's not much you can do when it comes to a nuclear attack. Here's the thing, though. I want you to keep in mind that war for either party, them or us, is a financial hardship. Okay? It's going to hurt. They've got a thriving economy. A lot better, actually. Their economy is much better than ours. They don't want to take a hit on that. We can't afford the hit. Okay? Now, will that keep our government from taking action? No. They're not even going to think about it. They'll do it anyway. China, though, will be cautious. Make no mistake. But look for that in 2024 because that is coming. That is coming up. I suppose you all heard about the Japan earthquake, 7.6. Something like 48 people died from that earthquake. 7.6, that's no joke. I think the scale only goes to 8. So, anyway, no joke. But listen, it doesn't just end there. Now, as anybody who's followed me for any length of time knows that I check earthquakes regularly. The fact of the matter is, the Ring of Fire is always active. Now, there's a New York earthquake that hit the 2nd, so that was yesterday. People woke up to their manhole covers popping and blowing. And that was all due to a 1.7 magnitude earthquake in New York. Now, what does this mean? There is that New York earthquake right there. Really low. What did I say it was? A 1.7. Yeah, 1.7 in Astoria, New York. Astoria, New York. And you know, here's the thing that's not normal. Let me make this a little smaller. All of this you see over here, and by the way, red ones, just occurred, okay? This is kind of normal, okay? California is always rocking and rolling. Always rocking and rolling. And even this up in here, not uncommon at all. Not uncommon at all to have a lot of activity. Now, I will tell you that this up in here is a lot more activity than we're used to. Look at this one in Kansas. 3.7 in Bennington, Kansas. Happened on the 31st. That was New Year's Eve. The people in Bennington felt that. Was it devastating? No. But they felt that. Look at all these in Texas. Look at all these in Oklahoma. Now, let's check some of these. Now, they're earthquakes. They are all earthquakes. Arkansas. Etowah, Arkansas had a 3.8 on the 27th of December. All of this activity, though, that isn't common, okay? That is not common to have that much activity. Now, here's another thing I want to show you. Let's look at the entire ring. Holy crap. Now, what we're looking at is this right here, okay? You see where my cursor's going? That's your ring of fire. There's activity every day, all the time, but not this much activity. The earth is moving, it's shaking, it's grooving, and I believe it is caused by all of this solar activity that we have had. Yesterday, it was predicted that we were going to have a CME graze us and graze our magnetic field due to a really large X5 class explosion that happened on New Year's Eve. However, they canceled it, so it either lost all of its juice or it missed us. So we are blessed that we're not dealing with that. But I believe that is the cause of all of this activity with the earthquakes. Now, depends on where you live, okay? Let's go back to just our house, okay? It depends on where you live. If you live in this upper plains region, not a lot of activity there ever. So you're probably okay. But anybody along coasts, okay? Anybody along coasts. Now, Florida, not so much. Because we all know, Florida's just floating out there. It's got water underneath of it. It's not going to be affected by too many earthquakes. Now, Cuba, on the other hand, they're getting hit pretty good. California, you're used to it, okay? But people in Oklahoma, people in South Missouri, northern, western Tennessee, northern Arkansas, that's your New Madrid. That sucker is overdue, okay? That can affect a lot of people depending on how big it is. Now, if you are lucky enough not to live in a region like that, do you need to be worried? Well, a little bit, because here's the deal. Let's say the New Madrid goes off, okay? And that's right here. See where this are blue dot there, and there's a couple here. This is Smithville, Arkansas. This one is Ravenden. This is all in the New Madrid. If that were to go off like the one in Japan at a 7.6, that is going to be felt clear to Iowa, Kansas. That circle is going to be big, okay? So you are going to feel that. Now, I live in northwest Missouri, and the New Madrid has been known to go off to an extent that people reported things falling off of their shelves. like their little knickknacks and tchotchkes. You know what I mean? So it has gone off strong enough to rattle houses, okay? But the main thing that's going to happen, and the main thing that's going to affect everyone, is supply chain issues, okay? It may take out highways. It can really destroy highways. So those are things you need to think about when it comes to earthquakes. Just because you may not live in an earthquake-prone region doesn't mean you're immune to what an earthquake can bring to us, okay? Space weather, we'll go back to that. Geomatic storm watch was canceled, like I said. We did have an X5 class explosion. And let's see, they might give us a little picture of that. Oh, there she is. Well, look at that. And as that came around, it released it on us. And it was predicted that we were going to have a CME hurled at us today, but again, they canceled it. So, that was Sunspot AR3536. Quite a deal going on there. Now, this sunspot is a little unusual. There's something strange about Sunspot AR3536. Its magnetic field is cockeyed. This magnetic map from NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory shows what we mean. All sunspots have two magnetic poles, a plus and a minus. They're supposed to be oriented side by side, like this. Plus and minus, okay? Instead, the magnetic field for AR3536 is perpendicular, which is plus and minus, instead of minus and plus, plus and minus. Twisted magnetic fields harbor extra energy for solar flares, and in the past 2 days, AR3636 has unleashed 4 M-class flares and an X5 class flare that ranks as the most powerful explosion of solar cycle 25 so far. She keeps outdoing herself. The sun keeps outdoing herself. Because the last one she hurled at us was the strongest in solar cycle 25. Goodness. Anyway, we're okay though for right now. But listen, the sun, she ain't messing around this year. Cycle 24 was a little sleepy. She is not sleeping in cycle 25. Okay? And know that these cycles, they last for about 11 years. Okay? So, we've been missed so far. We've been lucky. Regardless of the earthquake thing, and of course I encourage you to keep track of the earthquake thing, the sun activity is even more important because she is really active. And this is going to do things like take out our radio, take out our GPS, take out our satellites, which in turn could affect our internet. So, it's no joke. So, keep track of that. And of course, if anything comes up, I will fly on here as soon as I know and let you know if you need to be looking out for something. What can you do about something like this? Nothing. What you can do is make sure you've got money, because you won't, if it does take us out, our internet and stuff, you need to have money. You're not going to have access to banks, ATMs, things like that. You need to have water, because it may take out our electric grid. Okay, because our electric grid is computerized. You understand what I mean? And without electricity, we don't have water. Okay. So you may make sure you've got water, and of course all the normal things and preps that go along with that. If it were to take us out, I'm guessing it's obviously going to be temporary. I don't know how temporary. It would depend on how much damage it does. Okay. But plan on, if it were to take us out, plan on being out for a little bit, enough time that it is going to affect you. So always be keeping that in mind. Putin says Russia has already tested its nuclear-powered missile and warns of revoking ban on atomic tests. It too is saying, look, we're tired of you messing with the Ukrainian business. Mind your own business. I'm going to throw a nuclear missile at you if you don't. With love, Vladimir. I'm okay, so, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Don't know what else to say. Other than, another thing that there's not much we're going to be able to do about. There are things you can put in place to help protect you and your family from a minor nuclear attack. It only takes a minor one. Okay. We don't have to have Hiroshima. Okay. Does not have to be a Hiroshima to devastate a society. Okay. So Vladimir is threatening us if we don't go mind our own business and get out of his way when it comes to the Ukraine. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I think, let's see, who is this? There is no situation in which anything would threaten Russian statehood and the existence of the Russian state. I think that no person of sober mind and clear memory can have an idea to use nuclear weapons against Russia. And he's right. The chances of us throwing a nuclear weapon his way, no, we're not going to do that. And we are going to think that he's going to be the same, and he's not. He will do that. China, as well, has threatened us. If we get into Taiwan, like I said earlier, if we get into their Taiwan business, they're going to throw a nuclear missile our way. The balloon that we had cross over, remember the balloon? Well, we now know the data that they gathered. They gathered data on our military bases. They gathered data on our internet and our infrastructure. And what that data can do, okay, is help them throw an EMP our way. Now, what is an EMP? An EMP is an electromagnetic pulse. Okay, and it's just like a CME. A CME is a coronal mass ejection that the sun spews out in an X-class wave, and it can take down our entire grid. An EMP is a man-made CME. So they let a bomb off, basically, in our atmosphere, okay, and over that particular region, it blows out all the electronics, internet, everything. So now China is more likely to do the EMP than it is to do the nuclear missile, because China wants our land, China wants our people, and China wants our land. Okay, it doesn't want to skull it up with nuclear fallout. Putin doesn't care. I mean, look, they've got, look over there. Okay, they don't care. They'll muddy that crap up with nuclear waste and let it sit. Don't even care. So, again, if it's not going to be the sun, it'll be China or Putin, for that matter. Fact of the matter is, the U.S. water utilities targeted by foreign hackers, prompting calls for cybersecurity overhaul. Now here's the thing. This is what you call, they're testing. They're poking. They're testing, they're seeing, okay? On January 2nd, when did this happen? It may have happened on New Year's Eve. It's not giving me a date. This article was January 7th. But there's a little water utility, Alquipa, in Pennsylvania, that became a victim of an international cyber attack. The attack prompted concerns from the U.S. security officials that the vulnerability of water utilities to cyber threats. The tiny Alquipa Water Authority in western Pennsylvania was perhaps the least suspecting victim of an international cyber attack. Matthew Motz, who's the chairman of the authority that handles the water and wastewater for about 22,000 people in a nice little woodsy suburb on the outskirts of Pittsburgh, okay? He said, if you'd give me a list of things that would go wrong with our water authority, this would not be on the list. So they were completely unawares. And these were Iranian hackers. And besides Iran, other potentially hostile geopolitical rivals, including China, are viewed by the U.S. officials as a threat. But this in particular were Iranian hackers. And they were just testing, you know. Let's choose a little small. Let's check for the weaknesses. Let's just see. Let's just see what'll happen. And they're not really testing us as much as they're testing themselves. Can we get in there? Can we hack the system? Can we shut it down? That's what's happening. So again, you know, even though you may not be losing your internet in this kind of a scenario or electricity, you're going to lose water. Because if they destroy the computer system that runs the water, you're not going to have water for a little bit. So you are going to need to get water. If you don't get anything, get water. It literally is $4 or less to buy a thing of water. You can get it at you can even get water at the Dollar Tree, okay? You can get water. You need to be getting water. Now, we know that they've been poking our electrical grids for quite a while, okay? But now, here we are being tested with our water. So, 2024 is going to bring out some stuff, and you guys need to be getting ready for it, okay? States and Congress wrestle with cybersecurity after Iran attacks the small town water utility. And this is another article on the same thing. And again, it was Iran that did this to us. I was gonna try to find. Private water companies say the bills would force their public counterparts to abide by stricter regulatory standards that private companies face from utility commissions and, as a result, boost public confidence in the safety of tap water. It's protecting the nation's tap water. See, not only can they stop it, but they can corrupt it as well. They can poison it. Okay? It's not going to take much. We have, our utilities are weak links. Weak links, okay? They're one of the easiest ways to get at us. If people are drinking water that is below standards but selling out to corporations who are going to raise rates on families across the state who cannot afford it if a solution is not made. And that's regarding that GOP bill that they're refusing to fund to take care of infrastructure, aging pipes, things of that nature. Scary for that town. I mean, geez, did it tell us how long they were out? It didn't tell us how long they were out of water. But scary for that little sleepy little town. So, take it for what you want. Fact of the matter is, they're already poking the bear. There's that jet airliner, 367 passengers were on. Look at that. We're on that airliner. And they are calling it human error. Somebody screwed up and wrecked the plane. 367 passengers, 12 crew members. So, and no one died. That was amazing. Look at that. There is nothing left. 14 passengers needed medical attention. One had bruising. Nothing big. How blessed is that? Craziness. Speaking of Chinese migration, up at the U.S. border as U.S. marks anniversary of repeal of the Exclusion Act, 24,000 Chinese migrants crossed the border without authorization. 13 times the number recorded during the same period last year. Well, that's suspicious. They see a lack of opportunity. They see the Chinese economy stagnating. That's a lie. The Chinese economy is not stagnating. And here's the thing. We're letting them in. They're here. 24,000. And that number came from October. During this time, I mean, is it making sense to you? It doesn't make sense to me. It just does not. Now, it is showing families, out of 108,273 Chinese migrant applications, 77,000 were granted asylum. Asylum was denied to 29,000, and 927 applications received another type of immigration relief. So FEMA has a little thing, if you want to go onto the FEMA website, and of course all those links will be below, has a little flyer on being prepared for a nuclear explosion. Different types of things you need to worry about, like the flash, the blast. The bright flash can cause temporary blindness for less than a minute, okay? The blast wave can cause death, injury, and damage to structures several miles out from the blast. Radiation can damage the cells of the body. Large exposures can cause radiation sickness. Fire and heat can cause death, burns, injuries, and damage to the structures several miles out. Electromagnetic pulse, EMP, okay, can damage electronics several miles out from a detonation and cause disruptions further out. Fallout is a radioactive visible dirt, debris, raining down that can cause sickness as well. And there's a couple, get inside, stay tuned. What you can do now is find out, do you have any nuclear shelter locations? A lot of times they're in your schools or your courthouses, okay? While commuting, identify appropriate shelters to seek in the event of a detonation. Outdoor areas. Make sure you have an emergency supply kit. A hand crank or battery operated radio, because you're going to want to know what's going on. What to do during it. If warned of an imminent attack, immediately get inside of the nearest building and move away from the windows. This will help provide protection from the blast, heat, and radiation of the detonation. If you are outdoors, take cover. Underground, if you can get to it, if you can get to underground. When the aftershock wave passes, then get inside to your closest best shelter. And get inside before the fallout starts coming down. What to do after, remove your contaminated clothing, take a shower, wash them with soap and water to remove any fallout from the skin. Do the same for your pets, okay? Also, the Red Cross has a little thing on nuclear explosions, radiation emergencies, how to survive, tips on coping with sheltering in place, things of that nature. You can also, CDC has an article as well you can check out, because there's also different things that you can drink or take, like charcoal pills, drinking activated charcoal, things like that, that will possibly remove any radiation that you may have in your system. So, check that out. It's your only recourse. Here's the thing. I'm not too worried about China doing this. I really am not. They might do a CME, but that's not really going to affect us like a nuclear missile. Putin, on the other hand, zero fucks given. He will throw a nuclear missile at us for funsies, okay? He's no joke. So, especially if you live around large cities, large towns, you're going to want to have this information on hand so that you can survive this if possible. There's lots of things you can do. Here's another thing. Your water is going to get contaminated. Another reason to have the water. Your food's going to possibly be contaminated. Another reason to be storing your food. We sit here, or at least I do, doing these videos, hoping to keep you informed. Hoping, that I want to inspire you to be getting on the internet and looking up this information yourself, okay? But here's one of the things that we fall into, and that's this, but nothing's going to happen mentality. Prepare, be ready, but don't worry, nothing's going to happen. And here's the thing, as we go further and further into all these things, the likelihood of something happening becomes greater and greater. Other countries, Germany, the UK, other countries are open about the threats, especially Germany, open about the threats and instructing their people on what to do, how to do it, being prepared. And over here in the US, we're just being told it's fine. Your economy is great. What recession? Everything's fine. Don't worry. Yeah. So, I'm not telling you to be scared. I'm telling you to be prepared, okay? And this year, it's coming. Mark my word. It's coming, so you need to be ready. So, anyway, that's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you joining me. And look, get out there and kick some ass. Nana Prepp it out.